And we are doing lessons on improving your grammar part so that you can have better band skill in GRA section. In this particular video, we are going to look at the punctuation part, that how you have to be careful about the punctuation mark, because that can affect your scoring in GRA part. So let's try to understand why is punctuation important. Let's see this example, right? A woman without her man is nothing. So you can see there are two commas that is there. The same sentence is there. A woman without her man is nothing. So you can see the way we speak, even that is different. So a woman without her man is nothing. So we're saying if a woman doesn't have her man, she is nothing. But a woman without her, so here is saying actually man is nothing. Nothing has been changed except punctuation marks. So you can understand that it can completely take your meaning out of the proportion, right? So be careful. We are going to learn about the punctuation mark. Can affect the meaning of a sentence. The marks such as full stop, comma, using capital and small letters, etc. come under punctuation. So we will start with the comma because this is the most popular one, right? First is it should be used after a dependent clause, and by now you know what is dependent clause. If you don't know it, please go back and watch the previous video lessons on using dependent clauses, right? So to overcome the issue of unemployment, right, this is the dependent clause. To overcome the issue of unemployment, this cannot be a complete sentence. Now whatever we're using after that, we use comma, right? The second one is before conjunctions like for, and. I don't think that this list is sufficient enough, or it has included everything, but just to give you an idea, if the link to independent clause, here both are independent clause, but they are used to link them together, right? So students must be encouraged to do charity work, and they should be supported. So both are independent, but we are adding it with and, so comma is, and this you have to keep in mind. So we cannot use comma between Ram and Sham, between John and Mac. We can't use comma there. But here, because there are one independent clause, another independent clause, and we are adding them together with and, so comma is uh, compulsory. Right? Another example, people always like to do appreciated. People always like to, sorry, there's a mistake here. It should be people always like to be appreciated. But so this people always like to be appreciated. You can see this independent clause. The question is, if everybody thinks this way, who will appreciate? So but is something that is added between two independent clauses, so we use comma, and here we need dash, which we haven't talked about, right? So you have understood comma. Let's talk about another aspect of punctuation. This is apostrophe and how it is used. Let me show you example. Used in possessive case, like the moment we say his car, my car, if you use name in place of that, like Mac's car, or you will say Robin's house, so there we use it. And so this is the example you can see, and then I'll give you some examples only to let you understand it. So you can see current school, the same thing. Children's school, even if it is plural, still as is used. And now see the difference. Here apostrophe is used after s because we are using after plural which ends with s. So any plural or any words, if s itself is there, then we use apostrophe after s, right? The same is here. If we're talking about a school, and if both of them are in the same school, we use apostrophe after the second one. So Karan and Gurpreet's school, right? But if we're talking about two different schools, so Karan's and Gurpreet's school, right? Anybody's concern, we use like this. It's the government that, it's the government's that, right? Now, this I don't think is an example of, because this is it is, Oh yeah, that's not an example of possessive case. It should be S, right? Possessive case. Because this simply is it is. And this is the contracted form. So be careful. Don't use it's this way, right? And this is a very common mistakes I have seen in candidates in IELTS writing, right? So please write it is the government that, right? So this was, so please write. So this is example of this one, right? So that was the apostrophe. So we have understood comma, we have understood apostrophe. Let's try to understand capital letter, simple in the beginning of a sentence, and any specific name like John, Delhi, New York, Washington, right? Specific name given to that. We can't use it with city. We can't use it with country, but we can use it with Mumbai or we can use it with America, right? And each of word of a name it is specific, right? Great Link Road, now this is the name of a specific road. So see, each word begin with a capital letter, right? So this is what you have to keep in mind of capital letter part. This is equally useful when you transfer your answer in listening or reading task, right? Okay, now come to this one using cologne. So I'm just giving you an example. You can try to understand that. The process of making plastic products can be divided into three main stages, right? And now I want to give three main stages, and I don't want to use full stop because I want some sort of continuance of sentence. So then the production of long molecules from raw materials, you can see comma here, the transformation from molecules to mold, and the handling of the finished product. So when we talk about the name of the list, we also use comma, right? That's the use of comma. Using colognes, if you want to avoid full stop but you want to establish a relationship between two sentences although they are independent sentence. So immigration isn't a black and white issue, you can say it's a complete sentence. It's actually, so I want to make some sort of relationship, it's actually much more complicated than most people think, right? And then this one bracket, when we want to give some additional information about perhaps most of the time a word name or anything. The graphs below compare the average monthly earnings of male and female graduates in three different countries. Now I want to mention three different countries, which is not possible but just writing the name. Perhaps we can use it by giving comma here as well, but then we can use simply brackets to use them, right? So that's all about punctuation part. Now there is one task for you. So this is a task. Now can you find the wrong use of punctuation, or can you find the missing punctuation part in this task? And I'm going to give you about minute time, so you can just pause this video and you can think for 1 to 2 minutes and can you find it. But here I'm going ahead with the answer, you can pause it. So let's check the answer here. The first is, one of the main cause of the problem is that, now comma here is not right because sentence continues here, there is no additional information. We cannot use comma anywhere between the verb and the subject, right? Are often overpopulated, which can result in, now overpopulated, and then we are using non-defining clauses. So I'm not defining it, so you need to use comma here, which can result in a lower quality of life. Many people move from the countryside to cities. Now this is not right. You can see here that's not right at all. I'm simply talking about city, or if perhaps you're talking about the plural, then cities, cities, but we cannot use city. This is a possessive case, right? Because of the abundance of universities. Now, a university is not a specific name, so we cannot use capital letter here, right? And job prospects, that's again, it's not a positive case. It's simply job prospects. So we will not use apostrophe, will not use T will be there, but there will be no apostrophe. So this is wrong. It will be simply prospects without apostrophe, right? As a consequence, now this is, as I have told you, using independent, dependent clause. So perhaps you can use comma as a linker. Linkers like however and dependent clauses, the words, they always take comma. however, nevertheless, and all those. So, as a consequence, the level of pollution rises due to the higher frequency of cars on the road. To tackle this problem, now you can see T is not possible. There has to be capital T, right? So to be capital. To tackle this problem, now again, there's comma because I'm adding a new sentence. So this is a independent. What do you say? It's a kind of independent phrase actually to tackle this problem. It's a dependent phrase. Sorry. So dependent phrase. We started with dependent phrase to tackle this problem. So we need to use comma and this would be capital, right? The government G capital is not required. This is not a specific name. Government should, so you see that even if important words like government, university, president, prime minister, these are not a specific name. You don't need to use capital letter. The government should aim to stimulate the economy outside the cities, right? The result of this, again, the same thing you need to use. The result of this would be a huge improvement in people's quality of life. So people's quality of life, this is wrong. It should be, because we are talking about the people's quality, so it should be apostrophe as here. So that's the people apostrophe and then as quality of life. But I don't think this is correct here, because the result of this, and there is a verb and helping verb and subject, we cannot use comma here. So I hope you have been able to understand your mistake when you write it. Thank you very much for watching this video. That's all about the video about the use of punctuation. See you very soon in the next video. Bye.